All right, so we go ahead and kick it off, Matt, and then anyone else can kind of pick up as we go through here.
Okay, sounds good. Well, welcome all. We do appreciate y'all attending this webinar about Epson Media. This is kind of our first of a kind, really, to do something about media. We usually do hardware and, some other things that Epson printers kind of showcasing that. But we thought it would be nice to, talk about the media that Epson offers, all the different kinds and for different applications. I think most of y'all know Epson papers and know what they can do and are real familiar with it. But there are some other papers maybe you don't know, or maybe you don't know your printer can do some applications like signage or proofing or some other things. So we're going to touch base on a lot of that stuff and just kind of go over the makeup of each of these papers and what they can do for you, and kind of give you a little more science behind it and a little breakdown. We've for those who don't know me, my name is Matt McCormick. I am the inkjet manager for Imaging Spectrum. I do have Zach Jones here, who's my head tech on everything here. He's going to lead most of this webinar today. We also have special guest from Epson, Morgan Lynn is here.
Hey, Matt.
There he is. So, and later on, we have our special guest, Joanna Quinton, who used to work at Imaging Spectrum, but she is a artist herself, has her own company that has a few Epson printers and is an expert on Epson paper herself. So she's going to get a breakdown of on her perspective on everything on a consumer level. So welcome, Joe.
Hi, guys.
All right. Definitely listen to Joe. She got a lot to tell. So you can just ask away with a lot of questions to her. But Zach, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Definitely a talented cast with us here today. So save those questions for the end. We have plenty of resources to get those answered for you. So I know we normally start off with some talking. I figure let's kind of keep it a little exciting here. So for those of you who haven't seen, I just want to throw up this quick, just a little intro kind of video that we slapped together real quick here, just to show you some of the different kind of cool applications that are out there for those of you who might not know already. And then when we get towards the end here, we'll really do more of a deep dive into the different media types. Again, like Matt said, I know a lot of you might know like some of the matte, semi-gloss, luster, but we want to dive into some of the specialty offerings as well, such as the adhesives, definitely some proofing, canvas, which I know is a really popular thing for a lot of folks out there as well. And then we'll kind of detail a few cool features that are really exciting with these new P-series printers that are out there as well. So I figure we'll start with this, and then we'll just do a deep dive into the logistics there. So as you can see, a ton of offerings out there, fine art all the way to photography. Proofing is one that I think a lot of people kind of overlook. And I will say Epson has some incredible offerings on the proofing side, whether it might be commercial production or if you're working with packaging or something of that nature as well. And of course, some of my favorite. I know sometimes it's hard to tell some of these metallic medias on here, but as always, we do recommend if there's a file in particular that you want to see, we're more than happy if you want to send that our way, we'll print it for you and actually send that to you to show the quality of the Epson there. So this is kind of dive into it, guys. What I want to start out is just an overview to show you what we're going to kind of go over today. Of course, the media types, some of the use cases, the different options. And when I say options, I'm kind of talking about maybe some solvent media versus the aqueous-based media or something of that nature as well. I do want to show a few demonstrations of some of the software and then, of course, the media itself. And then at the end, we're going to open it up. So first, I want to do just kind of a very basic general overview of everything. And this is a way that, Epson kind of breaks it down as well. So you've got the photographic side, the fine art printing, canvas, which I'm sure a lot of you are interested in as well, specialty, some of the metallic, some of the adhesives, poster board, which I feel like isn't talked about enough, but it actually is a very useful tool. And then, of course, the proofing that we were mentioning before earlier here. So let's first jump into the signature-worthy collection. I would say probably some of the most universal media out there. Matt, feel free to chime in. I think this is probably some of our most common.
Yeah, premium luster, definitely. I think a lot of people are familiar with that. I mean, I think basically you can't go wrong with premium luster. That's one of the best photo papers out there for lots of different uses, for especially portrait and photography. I mean, you just really can't go wrong with the luster. And kind of a breakdown on all these. These are under the signature worthy label at Epson. These are what you always see in the buy 3 get 1 free rebate promotion that actually ends in a few days. So definitely an excellent program that Epson does, where you buy 3 rolls or sheets of any of these papers, you send it an invoice, send in your invoice, and you get a check back for one of the rolls, and you could do it, in quantities of 3, 6 rolls, 9 rolls, or whatever it is. But so really I guess the top level paper that Epson sells.
Definitely. And like Matt said, that luster, if anyone's, I'm sure plenty of you might have used it before, but the D-Max is incredible. I mean, your overall dynamic range on that paper is just incredible too. And there is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but as far as these new printers go with their black enhanced overcoat, a very cool, useful driver tool now that allows you to get even deeper, richer blacks than we've ever seen before. And again, comparing it to an already excellent print, I mean, we can definitely see the difference, especially noticeable on glossy or metallic medias as well. But I did want to kind of throw this up here real quick. If any of you guys are curious about some of the basic components of these medias here. Now, I will say Epson goes through very rigorous testing as well. So all these are completely compatible and actually optimized, I should say, for the Epson ink set, as well as their printers, of course. So, if you're just looking for something where you're going to get completely accurate, high quality images right from the get-go, these papers are already embedded into the Epson printers there. And towards the end here, I'm going to talk about something called a media installer. So, when Epson does release new paper, new media, we can both upgrade it in the software, but also in the hardware, which is a first for Epson as well. So a lot of cool, exciting things on that front.
And I would note that the metallic photo paper, if no one out there has tried that, it is a really excellent paper, and maybe not as known as, in the whole category, the library that Epson offers. But yeah, both gloss and luster surface, it's a really cool paper and has a real nice effect, when it prints out. So that is something I definitely encourage people to look at, when considering doing their photo prints.
Absolutely, and I'll probably say that's probably my personal favorite, just because I do love that. It's got a very cool, and especially when you throw that that black enhanced overcoat on top of it. Oh my goodness! Just as they even put it here, a 3D look, which I think is very accurate to what we see here. Now, on the canvas side of things, you can see these have optical brighteners in them, so we were able to have a nice strong white point to work from. Now, there's also natural, so they're going to keep those brighteners out of it and give you much more of a natural, as they say, kind of print there as well.
Yeah, museum kind of look.
So let's jump. I'm going to briefly touch on these legacy papers. If you have more questions on that, definitely reach out to us, and we'll find something that's right for you. Originally, these were kind of relegated to Epson's kind of high end here. So they really made these for intent to sell, kind of gallery ready materials here. So all European made coatings that are specifically created for the Epson ink set as well. And I do like to mention the permanence here. We're up to 200 years for color and up to 400 years for the black and white photos as well. And just I figured I'd throw a few industry names out there if anyone's kind of interested in the photography side. But you can see some of these paper types are definitely catered towards the very high end side of photography and fine art there. So let's jump into proofing real quick. I know, like Matt said, I know a lot of you guys have been probably playing around with the luster, maybe some of the gloss and things like that, but proofing is a side that Epson really has kind of solidified, and they've done an incredible job here. So whether it's magazines, packaging, whatever it might be, they've got the proper material for you. And I'll kind of show you a breakdown here of the different Epson offerings. So you can see from the standard proofing paper down to the premium, even adhesives. One thing that's kind of exciting is this crystal clear film as well. So that if you're kind of working around a certain material, you can print onto that crystal clear film and get a strong indication of what your final product is going to look like before it finally goes to press there. As you can see, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Oh yeah, and a lot of these papers, I mean, some of the stuff, is in the commercial side of things. A lot of our retail corporations are using a spectroproofer to work with these proofing papers before they go to press. So they do need to match certain Pantone colors and need to have certain measurement standards, as as far as swap or crackle or even Fogra. I don't understand, a lot of it. I understand, most of it. I can, talk a little intelligent about it, but those are kind of the papers high level that you want to try to reach a certain white point, or try to match up on the paper as far as going to press. But on a smaller scale, for some people out there that don't need that, kind of that crazy jargon there, the commercial proofing paper or even the white semi-matte proofing paper, those are really popular in kind of a lower level situations where you don't have to get all those measurements or have to those requirements. So if you are, in a situation where you have a client or that just needs a proof on something, or before you go to maybe a publication or anything like that, those papers at a lower level will definitely work in that situation to get you accurate color.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just going to say, those papers are also great for using as like posters, or if you were ever looking to do a series of like a lower quality print run, like maybe I've had people approach me about doing posters before, or giveaways or things like that for auctions or things. Some of the proofing papers can be a really wonderful option for that, because you do get a nice quality print, but you're not necessarily looking at like some of the high archival standards or things like that. You can run a nice quality image that's not necessarily going to be, it's still cost effective, and you don't have to worry about some of the stuff that you would with like a limited edition or a higher quality print for a long period of time for permanence.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Joe, because you can run it on one of these proofing papers. Just here's what it's going to look before you go on like a high priced paper, or higher priced fine art paper, whether you're using Epson fine art or maybe Hahnemuhle or Canson or whatever those the higher end papers.
And one thing I kind of want to piggyback on here is more a little bit on the hardware side. Some of you might already know this, but I do feel I should mention it. With these new P series, rather than having to work with a standard or commercial edition, kind of choose between the two, they kind of combined, they did actually combine the best of both worlds into those units. So full 99% Pantone match. So, I mean, don't worry if you're trying to hit your colors. I don't care if it's Coca-Cola or Joe down the street. It's something we can absolutely hit. So
our Joe down the street?
That's right. So let's jump from there. I do want to talk about the ink set. I know it's not the media type, but as you guys do know, this plays a very important role in that final quality. So a few things I want to talk about is this new Pro 12 ink set that they just came out with. Now, this ink set is specifically for the P75 and the 9570s, which are the 24 and 44 inch respectively. So a couple things on this that's very exciting. First off, as I said before, 99% Pantone match, no more choosing between standard or commercial. So as you know, we're going to get the widest, highest quality in the class here. But the other two things I'd like to mention, black enhanced overcoat, which I'll show a quick video on towards the end here, but the dedicated black channels, something I know that has been requested for a long time. So it doesn't matter if you're knocking out maybe a matte canvas back to back between some luster or some glossy paper. The nice thing about that, it has a dedicated channel. So no more ink switching, no more wasting any of that photo or matte black in between prints. And of course, it keeps your shop operational and kind of keeps everything kind of flowing quickly there too. So very exciting, something we've been looking forward to for a while there. Print head, it's Epson, so I always feel like I want to talk about the print head as well, just because they really excel in that category. And these new printers are no different. Matter of fact, the biggest thing I want to talk about here is the speed. So the print head, much larger than the previous generations here. So you can see a 16 by 20 print in a high speed mode, 600 by 600. We're looking at about a minute print there. And I always like to talk about this. I know Matt and I kind of had this discussion before. So we had a client who was down, unfortunately, with his printer. We ended up having to knock out about 20 or so poster boards for him. And I think in under the hour, we had high quality prints done. So definitely left us open for the day, but we still had the quality that we would expect from the previous units as well.
Yeah, I think he averaged about 13 minutes per poster board, and the P9570 did it like in 5 minutes or something like that. But
Yep.
yeah.
And that was a high quality. Now, it wasn't maxed out quality, but again, it's poster board. So that was right in that middle road there. And one thing too that I know maybe, I don't know, for previous units, I'm sure you guys know out there that if a print head had any issues, unfortunately, we had to deal with the technician before. So one really cool thing that Epson did with these units, we kind of have our first line of defense is what I like to call it. So if something does go down, we actually have access to that print head and some of the internal components that we didn't before. So if we're in a poster production shop or something where we're churning out, 1,000 prints a day, it is a nice kind of first line defense, as I say, before we have to bring in a technician and wait for that 24 hours before we can actually get somebody out there.
Exactly. And this is Morgan with Epson. So you have the almost 2.5 times the speed as its predecessor, as the predecessing model. But it also comes with that maintenance kit, so you can clean around the capping station and the squeegee. So it's a huge thing.
Yeah, definitely agreed. And I know a lot of our customers, again, especially these production shops, I mean, if you're down, you're losing money. So this is really a nice line of defense for those folks to kind of keep churning away at their jobs there. One other really cool thing here, and I know we're focused on some of the software. We'll get back to the media here in a second, but I do want to talk about this media installer. Really, really cool in my opinion. So for those of you who might have had previous P-Series units, if a new media came out or Epson came out with something, then what you would have to do is download that profile, and really it was only embedded into the software. So essentially we'd normally have to let Photoshop maybe manage the colors. Now with this very useful tool, anything that's already out there or anything that Epson might release in the future, when we download this, we're actually going to download it to both the software side, to our computer, but we're also going to download that to the hardware. So that way, when I actually load that next roll of media or sheet of media, whatever it might be, I'll have those settings embedded in there as well. And I like to talk about that these are more than just your color profiles or EMX profiles. So what that means is we've got our print head adjustments, we've got platen gaps, pass, we've got everything that we need to have a very highly accurate and quality print, pretty much right out of the box there.
And Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, this is also going to be seen in the new P700 and P900 printers that have just come out. And for those of you that might not be aware of that, those are replacement. The P700 replaced the P600 printer, and the P900 is replacing the P800 printer. So if you are, in a market needing that level, maybe your P800 has unfortunately gone down, or you're looking for an upgrade there, this will be part of those series as well.
Thanks for bringing that up, Matt. Yeah, and I will say too on that, now where the 75 and the 95 are using the Pro 12, the 7 and the 900 are going to use the Pro 10. So we're going to get a wide color gamut, still no choosing between standard or commercial edition. And we do actually have those black enhanced overcoats, those type of features that are also included in those units. So, if you're looking for something with that utmost quality, but maybe you don't need a giant 24 or 44 inch form factor there, a very great option too. And some kind of cool stuff on that too. I think they're bringing out an iPad app for it as well. So if you're kind of working, I know kind of the new age here, but working from our couches. So that's kind of a cool new feature as well.
Yeah, touchscreen, bigger screen, no photo or matte black switching. So a lot of cool advanced features in those units. And the P700s are already out right now, the 13-inch one. And the P900 is on the way, should be here, I don't know, roughly. Morgan, what do you say, about a month or something?
Yeah, so the P900 should be available towards the end of July.
There you go. All right.
Super exciting. So kind of back to the printers here, since we are talking about media, I do want to talk about this new inductive media roller system that's included on these new P-Series as well. So since we are dealing with, multiple types of media, sometimes you might have had to deal with some skew, or sometimes you might have had little issues here and there. And what they've done is a lot of huge improvements on the hardware side to reduce those paper feed errors and such. So I did just want to kind of briefly talk about this. A lot of this is more on the engineering technical specs, but I want to let you guys know that, loading media, and especially sheet media, since we're talking about it, significantly easier, I should say. So, there's an anti-skew option in there. We've had nothing but good luck with it. So just something I figured I'd mention there. So now let's jump into a little bit of the media and then some of the hardware side as well on this. So I know this is not probably new to some of you, but for those of you who are kind of curious out there, if you see something like OBA or certain surface types or DMAX, just for those of you who aren't kind of familiar with these terms, a brightening agent is going to be basically what gives that paper its final white point. So you might see some papers have a little bit of a blue tint to them, or they might have kind of that natural color to them. So sometimes I'll throw those brightening agents in there just to give us a stronger white point to work from. DMAX, kind of, I like to think of it as kind of the dynamic range there. So your deep blacks, and then of course, that's going to increase that contrast. So I'm going to show you guys an image here in a minute, towards the end, just a little video of how that black enhanced overcoat really does increase that as well and gives us a very just deep, they kind of call it a wet look. So that's kind of a cool thing there too. Now I do want to talk about, previously I had this take-up reel. And I do want to mention the production side of things here for a minute. We definitely are getting quite a few customers who are dealing with poster production. So one thing we've noticed, if you're running a huge operation there, you can have this take-up reel. So basically it's for unattended printing. So if I needed to do maybe it's say 100 feet, I let that do its thing while I'm working on my other job there as well. And another thing too are these spectroproofers. So again, kind of going back to the proofing side for a minute, if we are dealing with a particular Pantone color or a high level client there, these spectroproofers can be added to these units. Now they will require a proper RIP software to run like an EFI or something of that nature too. So if you have more questions on that, definitely a good one to reach out and we can do a deep dive on that stuff for you as well. So on the poster production side, definitely something that I find very exciting with these double cuts. So let's just say I'm working on these 24 by 36, a good standard size there. I pretty much always set mine to double cut. So that way it's going to cut off the excess from the initial start and it's going to have a nice clean cut at the end there. The reason I bring that up is because if you want an already completely cut, printed, ready to ship poster, a very easy thing there. And again, with the speed on these things, I mean, we're talking probably maybe three to 5 minutes for, a good size, high quality poster there. Now, one thing I want to mention as well, I know we've been talking about the aqueous side of the media types here. I do want to let you guys know, though, that Epson does have some great offerings for the solvent printers as well, especially for higher production offerings. The canvas production can be a little bit cheaper. So if you're looking for more of a production environment, maybe you don't need the utmost quality, and maybe you need something that maybe be able to withstand a little bit of maybe some UV or maybe some sunlight or something of that nature. That is definitely a great option as well. And all three of these media types they have for both aqueous and solvent. So I do want to talk about the display trans. Very cool one if you're dealing with the transparent media there. A true one pass if you're concerned on that side of things. You don't really have to run those 3 passes to get those certain accurate colors there. And then of course the poster paper production. There's 2 sides of this. There's the 175, a little bit cheaper, a little more on the flimsy side, and there's the 210. One thing, and the reason I put this as low as 16 cents, so, and this is something that definitely call in. I know Matt's really great with this side of things. If your volume does meet a certain kind of criteria there, then we can absolutely make some kind of bid pricing and get some, some pricing more proper to probably what you're kind of hoping for there as well. So a lot of discounts we can help you guys out with when the volume increases as well. Matt, did you want to mention anything on that?
Yes, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, we're going to dive a little bit deeper on the poster paper here later, but yeah, I mean, some of this kind of touches base. Maybe you might know, some might not know of some media applications that you can do with your printer, like backlit media, or even Epson offers a real cost alternative poster paper. If you are doing a lot of posters, so the cost really gets down to I mean, under 20 cents a square foot. That's crazy right there, where you can definitely sell posters and make a good profit.
Absolutely. So let's jump from here. This is just, I'm gonna just briefly kind of pass over the slide, but I did want to include this just to show you guys really, the lengths that Epson goes through to make sure that they have the utmost quality media there. So you can see from periodic audits, they test all kinds of temperature, humidity conditions. You can see they've made so many custom profiles. So the reason twofold here I bring this up, A, to show you that you're working with a high quality media, but B, just to let you guys know that Epson makes sure that these media types work seamlessly with the hardware as well. So just kind of a quick overview here and kind of what Matt was saying, and now I can give you a visual representation. Over here we have the P700. Over here, the 17-inch P900, and then here in the middle is kind of the flagship, the 9570, which is their 44-inch model. So, all of these can hit your excellent Pantone matches. I don't care if you're doing black and white or working with Coca-Cola Red, something we can absolutely hit there. But really what I want to do with this slide is kind of give you the overview. This is all an Epson product, so they kind of keep that all in the same environment. I know it might be a cliche term, but the turnkey solution is really what we use around here, and it truly is. Again, when you have one manufacturer creating every aspect of the printing atmosphere there, we know, we're really not going to have to worry about, do I need to, color profile this? Do I need to whip out my I1? Most of the stuff you'll probably have nothing but success with. So now I'm going to turn over from us talking about our boring hardware stuff, and I want to let Joe kind of take over from here. As Matt said before, Joe is an exceptional artist. We love her and definitely miss her presence around here in Texas, but I want to let her kind of take control and just kind of give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what she uses and kind of her process there. Take it away, Joe.
Okay, hi everybody. I was asked to give a little bit of a background on the types of media that I use in my studio. Basically, I am a painter and primarily of equestrian work. I also produce prints and note cards of my work and sell them internationally. Most of my work is done on either paper or canvas for reproductions. And in my studio, I do all of my printing myself. So basically it's a total one-stop shop, and it's all done by me. So I control everything from the initial painting to the photography, to the proofing, to the printing, to the varnishing, to the shipping. It's all right here. So for the actual papers and such, I'm printing first of all on an Epson P6000, which replaced my older Epson printer. I've been printing on Epson printers since about 2000, the year 2000. So it's been a long 1999 or so. So it's been a long time with Epson. And for they really have been, in my opinion, the best printer out there for fine art. And I have not had any complaints with them. For the materials that I use for printing, when you start to set up print runs, especially when you start selling your work, you need to make sure that you are establishing some credibility with your collectors. You need to make sure that if you're selling limited editions, that you're, number one, making sure that you're going to have some sort of authenticity and credibility with people, because if they're dropping hundreds of dollars on your prints, you want to make sure that they are going to, number one, get a print that's going to last for a specified amount of time. And number two, that, the product that they're getting, they're going to feel is worth the money, because nothing is going to come back on you faster than a print that they get that they're going to hang on the wall and then is either going to, if it were to fade or something bad would happen, nothing's going to sink your business faster than that. So for paper prints, I tend to use the cold press. Now I use the Epson cold press paper for my paper prints. And then I have always used Epson canvas. I use the glossy canvas for my canvas prints. Now I'm a little bit different than Epson recommendations in that I do go over my canvas prints with some varnish. That's just me. That's just me tending to be a little bit extra paranoid about shipping stuff out across the country. But that's just how I do things. And then I also use Epson Somerset Velvet paper for a certain level of prints that I tend to send out across the country, but not everything. So I have 3 different types of papers that I use, and pretty much all of my print runs stay within those 3 different types of papers.
Now, Joe, real quick question for you.
Yeah.
Have you felt like, using those printers, were you able to pretty much kind of set those and kind of set and forget, if you will, or did you do a little bit of profiling yourself, or how does that process usually go for you?
Well, like I said, since, I've sort of hopscotched from a couple, this is my second Epson printer. And then over the years, I've worked with different Epsons throughout, different studios that I've worked in and such. So every time I've worked with a printer, I've had to sort of change the profiles a little bit, going from one printer to the other, because as the technology has improved, you've had to adjust the print file a little bit. So, you photograph your painting, you run your proof to make sure that you've got the best possible correlation between what you're trying to say with your print and what you've actually got in front of you. And then once you've got it, you pretty well are able to lock it down. There are some things that I'll notice when I actually have the print in front of me that maybe I'll want to enhance or change. And to be honest, sometimes maybe I'll like what's on the print a little bit better than the original. So I may change a little, some things here and there. That's one of the benefits of Photoshop. And sometimes I can enhance certain things. But once I've got that locked in, then I save that file as my print file, and then I don't touch it. And that pretty much becomes the only thing that I print from. And then that's, like I said, that's essentially locked away until my print edition is done. Once my print edition is full, by the way, because I do limited edition prints, so X amount of prints, that's it. Once I hit that total, that print file is destroyed and it's never printed again.
So kind of on that note too, I mean, hopefully you guys can kind of get an indication directly from, an artist herself there. And let me ask you one more thing, Joe. Do you feel like, with that wide color gamut of the Epsons, do you feel like they're able to reproduce a lot of those colors that you're working with from the original artwork, or?
I actually, yes. My work tends to be very colorful. I tend to work with a lot of complementary colors, which, in years past, when we were working with some of the older Epsons, was a bit of a challenge. I used to actually work in a print studio, so I can vividly remember doing a print for an artist who did nothing but strong complementary blues and yellows, and printing his work was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Trying to get those colors to match and trying to get the color balance to come out properly. Over the years, everything has gotten better. The technology has tightened up quite a bit. Camera technology has improved, the print technology has improved, Photoshop has improved. I have to do very little color management now to get a fairly accurate file right off the bat. But once again, the final proof really is in what you're holding in your hands, as far as what you want to be putting your name on to send out in the world as your final print.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, Joe, as you guys can tell, Joe is just super talented, and I've seen her work up close and the recreations of it. I'm actually going to show you guys just a quick little clip from Cooperlex there, Joe. I don't know if I was mentioning that before, but just so you can kind of see how the process where she goes from that original artwork. And this is definitely a studio who's using the Epson P-Series printers, but same process. So, Joe, I don't know if was there anything else you want to kind of mention on that? We really appreciate you having you here today.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I will say is, don't be afraid to experiment with media. It's really interesting to take a piece of artwork or a photograph. Like Matt had mentioned the metallic luster paper earlier. How you print your image, whatever you choose to print your image on, can make a huge difference in how the image actually looks. You can change the whole mood and the whole presentation of an image by what you choose to print it on. You wouldn't think necessarily that choosing to print something on like a rag photo paper versus a metallic luster paper would change the whole mood of an image, but it really can. And it can make a big difference in the saleability, because I mean, we're all about wanting to sell, make money ideally off of our work, whether it's a photograph or a print or a poster or whatever. It's all about making an impact with your art, with your imagery. Don't be afraid to experiment with the media, because you can really get wonderful effects using nothing but changing different types of paper. It's really kind of, experimentation will do you well. So like those sample packs are really wonderful. You can try to take one image and print it across a wide variety of media and just be amazed at how the whole impact of the image changes depending on what you printed on. It's very cool.
I could not have said that any better myself, Joe. And thank you so much. I mean, that's really a perfect segue to kind of let you guys know again, like she said, and I think it's fun. I think experimenting is kind of probably some of my favorite stuff to do. Again, you never know what the results are, and sometimes you surprise yourself, and I feel like that's kind of an empowering, exciting moment too. So, like Joe said, with those sample packs, I mean, you can set one image there and just print right across the board, and that way you can find something that works both for your eye, but again, like Joe said, we're here to make a profit, so something that you know that your client is going to be happy with as well. So.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Good stuff.
Very good stuff.
You're welcome. Glad to be here, guys.
All right.
So from there, I figure we're going to I want to show you guys one or two quick videos of some of the stuff we were talking about earlier in the demonstration. And since Joe just went through that, I figured probably the next best segue here, I do want to show you guys kind of it's a really cool process here. So this is Cooper Lux, and what we actually were fortunate enough to do was take one of Joe's original pieces to them. They were gracious enough to let them actually shoot a video here. So I'm not going to, we probably really don't need to go through the entire video here, but let me check one thing. If you guys don't mind, let me know. Is that audio coming through for everybody?
Specialists, we work with artists ranging from photographers to oil painters to watercolor artists. We also do a lot of work for hotels and just helping people get artwork where they need it. We are inviting Imaging Spectrum to come with us kind of on a journey of a piece of artwork from beginning to end, from our scanning to actually getting it printed onto canvas. Today we're working with artist Joanna Zeller. She is an equestrian painter whose work ranges from sketches to oil paintings like this one here. We are going to be reproducing this one onto canvas. Little side note, she actually also works at Imaging Spectrum, and she is a fine art specialist, so she is always there to help me if I have any questions about different paper types and to do the work that we do here.
You can see kind of right here the rigorous standards they go through to make sure that that initial digital file is as close to
every scan that we do is a little unique. Every art that we get is unique on itself. So we definitely always try to scan each piece for the actual piece itself. There's a lot of setup that goes into getting a great scan, of just making sure that everything is sharp and focused from edge to edge. And then really, we've done a lot of color work just to make sure that the colors that we scan are just as close as they're possibly going to get once we send that to the front for reproduction. So once we get the files from the scanning department and we bring it into pre-press, we'd like to kind of just double check everything for sharpness and for color. We look at the file on our screens versus the actual original, and then once we're pretty happy with everything and we think it came from scanning correctly, we go ahead and run like an initial proof on the paper or canvas that we are going to be actually making the reproduction on. Right now,
print on the original paper that you're going to be printing on.
Send it over to the printer and we're going to run it on the P10000. Here, we just got our new Epson P10000 and we are very excited about it, about all of the capabilities that this new printer is bringing. Epson has put a lot of new features into it that I'm super stoked about. Specifically, the speed that it's going to give us, the color gamut, plus it fixed some tracking issues that some of the older printers have, so I'm really super happy about that. But we've always been using Epson printers for at least 12 years now, and we are just really happy with the quality and the brand that they bring to their printing. So we are going to be running all of our artist papers that range in the different textures, fabric for photography, and art papers through this machine. We've already built profile upon profile to get the color correct on each paper. We've been very happy with all of the results. I've been working with Imaging Spectrum for 12 years now, and they always have the right answers for me when I need them. I am super grateful to all of the people from Imaging Spectrum from the beginning and getting me a quote really quickly and to getting this printer to us. It was so easy and so fast. I love working with both Matt and Joe, who are in the fine art department with that company, and it is just always just the best experience. Just like with any printing, you definitely want to keep your eyes on the print as it's coming out, just to make sure that there's not something just going drastically wrong. But like every Epson we've ever had, it's always been very consistent, and rarely do we ever have any issues. as long as we did our job correctly, making a great profile, then this color should be pretty accurate to what we were seeing on screen. And as long as our scans are great, then there should be very little tweaking that needs to happen once you see it on a larger scale. That was a quick tour of fine art reproduction. We're glad that you could come along with us. If you're ever in the Dallas area, we definitely can help you with any reproduction needs you might need. We are so happy to have Imaging Spectrum here and all the things that they've done with providing us with the Epson printers and just helping us get them going and on track and everything. So thank you guys, I appreciate it so much. Have a great day.
All right, guys, I wanted to show you that just so you can kind of get an idea of kind of the high level there. And I will mention something. They were talking about the P10. The P20, still very similar. Now, that's going to be if you need to jump up into a 64-inch form factor. So if you're looking for kind of the utmost max size, kind of in the Epson range there, we definitely have P20,000 offering as well.
Joe, what were you saying about during the video?
Oh, Katie had mentioned something about proofing on that they tend to proof directly onto the type of paper that they're going to be using for the final image. That is something that you always like to do. So if I have paper scraps, for instance, if I'm proofing on canvas and I have a canvas scrap left over from when I was printing earlier, I may choose to run an image on that paper scrap of the canvas to make sure that I've got the right color and everything. But that's another example of where you could also use proofing paper just to give an initial pass just to see what it looks like, because you'd mentioned.
Gotcha. Cool. And yeah, yeah, very good point there. And then to kind of touch base, Zach, you're talking about the P20,000.
Sure.
It is a 64-inch, offering that Epson does have out there. For those who are familiar with the 11880, that was a printer for a long, long, long time. P20,000 came out to replace that to give a twice as fast production printer and very cost efficient. Both the P10,000, P20,000, the inks are a lot less per milliliter, and it's really built for high production like your poster production. And it can do canvas and all the photo papers and all that stuff. But definitely a nice printer to look at if you need to get up to 64 inches.
Absolutely. And I will, I do want to guys show you one thing, kind of stepping away from the fine art side a little bit. I want to show you kind of the poster production side as well here. So this is the double cut print in action. So I want to kind of show you, if you're working with posters, how you can actually have a finished ready to go print right out of the printer there. And hopefully you can see the speed here as well. So like Morgan was mentioning earlier, about 2.5 times the speed of the previous unit. So, if we're even going a few generations back, we're talking 3+ times there. So a lot of really cool stuff. Again, I just want to show you this so you can actually see the printer in action. Sure, you're probably tired of hearing my voice, so I figured I'd show you some video here. Now, this was on their Epson's Poster Production 210. Again, profile was already built into the printer itself. If it wasn't, all I would have to do is download that from that media installer, and it will automatically update on both the computer and the hardware side of things. And I will say, as great as video is these days, nothing beats seeing the real thing in person. So this is kind of where I want to strongly encourage you guys. Call in, send us an email. We can actually take that file. We'll print it directly here. We've got all the offerings that Epson has for their P-Series printers. So that way you can actually get a tactile feel and know exactly what you can expect, before you make that investment there. And again, this is maxed out quality, so if we were doing the high speed, maybe 600 by 600, we can definitely increase that speed. But I want to show you guys kind of what that max setting looks like. So the cool thing about this, literally ready to ship basically as soon as it comes off the printer. It's already a dry print, so literally I can slap that in my tube, send it out, whatever I need to do, and kind of be done there. So I think, we've probably talked enough here. I think hopefully you guys got a big picture, but what I want to do now, let's go ahead and first let me mention this offering, and then I'm going to open it up for some Q&A at the very end here. So Matt, if you want to go ahead and take it away from here.
Yeah, like kind of we mentioned before, I mean, the one of the focus on here is the signature worthy papers. I think a lot of people are familiar with. That's the premium luster, the Epson exhibition canvas, hot press, cold press, the velvet fine art. Those are really good papers and really good deal going on with the buy three get one free rebate. If you've never taken advantage of this promotion, it's a really good one, just because if you buy 6 rolls, let's say, you're going to get 2 of those for free, and that means sending an invoice, and Epson will send you back a check. It usually takes about 6 weeks or something like that. And some people are like, oh, rebates, they don't work. Well, I hear from a lot of my customers that they do. This one does work for sure. You can do it 9 times, so you can, like, if you want, you can get 27 rolls, and you don't have to do the same paper. You can mix and match whatever, is on the list there. Legacy papers are on there as well for those that are kind of remaining that are available. So really, you can get a luster, you can get canvas, and take advantage of that promo. It ends this month, so definitely let us know.
Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. Q&A. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A, and we'll answer them real time here live. So let us know if there's any questions that we can help clear up for you here. And if not, like Matt said, we can always have a one-on-one conversation.
I just see a question from Jerry, and I don't know why I can't answer it. I'm trying to answer it, but he was asking if that video was in real time with the P series, which
Yes,
it is. Yeah,
absolutely.
That larger print head is definitely increases the speed, but doesn't lose out on the production value and the output of the print at all.
I think, I don't know about you, Matt, but I think when I first saw it, I saw it at the Print United show, and my jaw was on the floor. I was just, I know it's something small, but I mean, that speed, and I'm sure, as you guys know, that makes a huge factor, especially in these production environments. Here's
a question from Roger. Are they going to update the P5000? Morgan, you want to address that one? Hello, Morgan, are you still with us?
Yeah, so I am definitely. So yeah, our current products that we launched, of course, we have the P700, P900, and of course the 2 recent ones of the 7570, the 9570. So we don't have anything for the P5000. So.
Well, that I will say, Roger, maybe you can kind of chime in here as well, Morgan. But the P900 is going to be able to it's going to be able to accept the rolls, and it's going to be able to hit that 17-inch as well. So that might be a particular option for you if you're sticking with that kind of form factor. Teresa, I saw you got a question here. She's asking, does the printhead ever jam with the borderless printing on that P9570? I'm going to go ahead and knock on some wood here. Not in my experience, honestly. We've had, and I'll be honest, this 4-sided borderless printing has been a really cool thing that I've had nothing but good luck with. So I'm going to say no on that one, not that I've seen personally. Jack's asking, will the media installer software work with the P8000? And no, it's not going to work with the P8000. There's going to be focused on these newer units here. All right, guys, any other questions here? I think I'm going to go ahead, and since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this last slide. So you guys can get our number here. You can visit us online, and I know Matt and I will be available for email as well. So if you want to email us, Matt, M-A-T-T, at imagingspectrum.com, or Zach, Z-A-C-H. You can also hit us up at inkjet at imagingspectrum.com. So plenty of ways to get a hold of us. And like Matt said, we love the one-on-one conversation. So if there's something you want to do a real deep dive in, just give us a shout, and we'll sit with you.
Yeah, and another thing I want to mention, our demo room is open. So if you do find yourself needing a new 24-inch or 44-inch printer, want to take a look at those P7570 or P9570, we have that here. So just let us know. I think eventually, we'll have a P900 in our demo room too, that he can look at as well. So just let us know and we can set that up.
Absolutely, guys. Jerry, thank you. Appreciate your you joining us here today, and same with all the attendees here. So many thanks. Definitely reach out, see if you can take advantage of some of those offerings for the attendees here, and hopefully we'll see you these upcoming weeks.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Morgan.
Take care.